Hello everyone! In this Python Matplotlib and scientific computing tutorial, we explain number 1. How to generate professional looking scatter plots in Python. Number 2. How to adjust the scatter plot parameters such as marker shape, marker size, marker color, marker transparency, etc. Number 3. How to adjust the scatter plot label size and fonts and how to properly format the scatter plot. And number 4. How to save a scatter plot to an image file or a PDF file. Here's an example of a scatter plot that you will learn how to generate in this video tutorial. This scatter plot shows two data sets. This is the first data set and this is the second data set. Here's another example of a scatter plot that you will learn how to generate in this video tutorial. This example is very interesting since the marker size is actually scaled. Furthermore, every marker has a different color. But before I start with explanations, I need to mention the following. It took me a significant amount of time, energy, and planning to create this completely free video tutorial, as well as more than 450 free video tutorials that you can find on my YouTube channel. And consequently, I kindly ask you to press the like and subscribe buttons. Thanks a lot. Okay, let's start with explanations. First, we need to import the necessary libraries. We need the NumPy library, and we need a plotting function. So we need to type import matplotlib.pyplot as plot. Okay, let's generate two data sets. First, we need to set the sample size. In my case, I'm considering 100 samples. Next, let's create two data sets. These are the x and y coordinates of data points in the first data set. x1 is clustered around 2 and y1 is clustered around 3. On top of that, in the case of x1, I add random perturbations. For that purpose, I'm calling numpy.random, and over here I'm using the function randn. Randn will generate samples from the standard normal distribution. And the sample size is 100. Similarly, we do the same thing for y1. Okay, let's see y1 and x1. Here's x1 and here's y1. Perfect. Let's create the second data set. The second data set is centered around -2 and -3. And the strategy is the same. Okay, next let's generate the scatter plots of these two data sets. First of all, we need to create an empty figure. We do that by typing plot.figure, and over here we specify the fig size. For example, the figure will be 8 by 6. Okay, let's create a scatter plot. To create a scatter plot, we need to use the function scatter, and this function is from the pyplot module. The first input argument is x1, that is the x coordinates of the point. The second input argument is y1, that is the y coordinates of the points. Then let's specify the marker. I will use x as the marker. Let's specify the size of the marker. We do that by setting the parameter s equal to the size. Let's set the label data set 1, and let's set the transparency by using this parameter alpha. Okay, and let's show the figure. Here it is. This is the scatter plot of the first data set. Let's do the same thing for the second data set. Over here, we will just change x2, y2, and we will change the marker. Let's use circles as markers. And let's see the output. Perfect. Looks very nice. Next, let's improve this plot. First, let's add the title, plot.title, and let's call this plot scatter plot of two data sets. Then let's set x and y axis labels. To do that, we need to use plot.xLabel, and over here we will specify the label x, and let's change the font size. The font size will be 14. Let's see the output. Here it is. Let's do the same thing for the y label. Let's add the font size to 14 again, and let's see the output. Okay, here there is an issue. I didn't specify the y label, so let's correct that. Okay, we now can observe over here that x and y labels are clearly visible. However, we cannot clearly distinguish these numbers over here. They're too small. So let's fix the font size of these numbers. To do that, we need to use the following function, thick, and you should select this function, thick params. Over here, you need to specify the axis. The axis will be both. Then, which axis? We need to change the font size of the major axis. And the label size is now 14. Here it is. Looks much better. Finally, let's introduce the legend, plot.legend. Let's set the font size, 14. Let's introduce the grid. And let's save the figure. To save the figure, we use this function savefig, and over here we specify the file name. Let's call the figure scatterplot.new. And now you have a choice. You can choose the format of the image file. You can either use JPG, you can use PNG, or you can even use the PDF file. I like to use the PNG files, and over here I want to specify also the resolution. The resolution is defined in dots per inch. Consequently, we set this parameter DPI, standing for dots per inch, as 600. And finally, we show our plot. Here it is. Looks perfect. Next, let's learn how to independently change the marker size and marker colors. For that purpose, let's define two arrays. The first array is called color array, and it's equal to numpy.random.rand. And let's specify the size of this array. The size will be equal to the size of x. Next, let's define the size array. The size array is again numpy.random.rand. And the size of this array again will be the length of x1. Both of these arrays are created by generating samples from a random uniform distribution on the interval from 0 to 1. Let's inspect these arrays. This is our color array. We can see that the entries go from 0 to 1, and this is our size array. Every entry of the color array is the color of the corresponding marker. Later on, we will introduce a color scale. Similarly, every entry of the size array is the size of the corresponding marker. However, here we need to do one modification. We need to multiply this array by a relatively large number, for example, by 1500. Okay, let's now create a scatter plot. Here is the piece of code that I wrote previously. First, we define the figure size, then we call the function plot.scatter. We specify x1 and y1, and let's just focus on x1 and y1. We specify the marker shape, circles, and over here we set this parameter as to size array. In that way, we can control the size of markers. Similarly, we set this parameter c to color array, and in that manner we can control the colors of the markers. We set the color map over here, and we set the transparency. And finally, we set the title, x and y labels, fonts. We introduce the color bar, we change the X and Y axis font size, we introduce the grid, and we save finally the plot. Okay, let's see our modified scatter plot. Here it is. Looks amazing. Okay, that would be all for today. I hope that you liked this video. If you like the videos I'm creating, please press the like and subscribe buttons, and see you in the next video.